And now to an update. A law about statewide testing at public schools took effect today.
Yeah, but students will not notice any changes until the 2027-28 school year. That's when they'll start taking 3 smaller assessments instead of the STAAR test. As East Texas News' Michael Richardson tells us, East Texas school districts are already getting ready for the change.
Dr. James Curitan is Executive Director of Assessments and Data Analysis for Tyler ISD. He says many changes implemented by House Bill 8 were in line with what his district wanted, adding that parents will get results back quicker.
It allows us to push testing back into May. And so that gives us more time to get through the curriculum. Rather than compressing it by another full month or month and a half, we will get an extra 2 months essentially to teach that full curriculum.
The law changes the STAAR test to 3 shorter assessments over the course of the school year.
It's more of an instructionally supportive assessment as opposed to just this one time a year assessment that would sometimes capture a student having a bad day more than it would capture them and their knowledge by the end of the year.
Lindale ISD Superintendent Stan Surratt says the shorter tests could increase stress for teachers.
One of the negatives of state testing, state accountability, is the pressure it puts on our teachers and students and the stress that's felt, during the academic day. And so the fearful part is now we'll have that 3 times a year instead of 1 time a year.
Curitan adds there are improvements to testing he would like to see moving forward.
The biggest change would have been, using a nationally normed test 3 times a year. That was really our goal, again, so we could see how we are against others, independent of anything else.
Michael Richardson, East Texas News.
Now, most of the provisions of that House Bill 8, which set in place the assessment changes, take place today, but a part concerning grant money will not take effect until next year, 2026.